You know, usually when you look up at the ceiling in an office, or I mean a clinic or a school, you just don't expect to see a marvel of modern networking. You just see a boring white tile.
Right, just acoustic fluff.
Exactly. But today, our mission for this deep dive is to analyze a product catalog page from HDTV Supply. We're zeroing in on one item in particular, the advanced IP ceiling tile speaker.
Which is a pretty wild piece of tech.
It really is. Because, okay, let's unpack this. This device is basically a Trojan horse of IT. On the outside, it looks exactly like a standard 2x2-foot drop ceiling panel with an 8-inch speaker grill. But secretly, it's a highly capable networking node.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that this product basically represents the death of centralized analog audio. Traditional invisible building materials are, being weaponized as fully independent IT edge devices.
Weaponize is a strong word, but yeah, I get it.
Well, I mean, it's not just a magnet and a cone wired to some dusty amplifier down the hall anymore. This tile features VoIP and SIP integration. It supports multicast, and incredibly, it houses its own built-in web server.
Okay, wait, hold on. VoIP makes sense, right? That's just internet calling.
Right.
But what does SIP integration actually mean for a ceiling tile? And why on earth does a ceiling tile need its own web server and that bundled clockwise campus software? Aren't we overcomplicating a simple loudspeaker here?
It sounds like it, but SIP is essentially giving the speaker its own dedicated phone extension.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can literally call a specific room's ceiling tile from a desk phone to make an announcement.
Like a targeted intercom.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the web server. That's the management piece. So an IT admin doesn't have to trace a physical wire through a ceiling to change the volume or assign it to a paging zone.
They just type the IP address into a browser.
You got it. A dashboard pops up and they configure that exact speaker right from their desk.
So it's not just passively receiving an audio feed. It's a fully active device routing data and syncing with that third-party software.
Yeah, and by building all that capability directly into the tile, it integrates seamlessly with physical peripherals. Like, say, a teacher's emergency call button.
Okay, so if the button is press,
The ceiling tile itself processes that event, triggers the network alert, and actually opens a two-way intercom channel.
that is wild. You're just dropping a smart hub into the ceiling and replacing thousands of feet of proprietary copper wire with standard network cable.
Exactly.
But if every individual ceiling tile in a massive facility is now a complex IT node, I mean, buying and managing this gear can't be like buying standard drywall.
Oh, definitely not.
Which brings us to the vendor behind it all, HDTV Supply. Looking at their catalog, this is a 25-year-old company, and they aren't just selling a $493 smart tile.
No, their scale is absolutely staggering when you browse the broader categories. They act as a global home for massive audio and video deployments.
Right, we're talking about things they call Wolfpack AV matrices. And just to clarify for everyone listening, an AV matrix is essentially the giant digital traffic cop that routes video from dozens of different cable boxes to specific screens.
And HDTV Supply builds these systems to run up to 160 TVs for giant sports bars.
160 TVs, that's insane.
Yeah, and dealing with complex IP configurations and massive video wall processors at that scale, I mean, you are working with highly technical, mission-critical setups. If a sports bar's matrix goes down on Super Bowl Sunday, that's a disaster.
Total disaster. So you'd think a company dealing with that level of stress would offer, like, white glove, pampering customer service.
You would think that.
Yet, looking at their 96% 4 or 5-star rating, I found this one review from a verified buyer named John M. that tells a slightly different story.
Oh, I love this review.
Right. He gave them 5 stars, praising that they quickly and accurately answered his complex technical question. But he specifically noted in the review that the staff was, quote, less than friendly.
It's so surprisingly honest. And it really highlights a funny truth about high-end AV and IT infrastructure.
Which is?
When you are deep in the weeds of configuring a 160-screen network matrix, getting a mathematically correct technical answer is ultimately what matters most to the buyer, even if the delivery is a bit gruff.
Yeah, exactly. The tech worked, the problem was solved, and the game stayed on the screens.
That's what counts.
So for you listening, the next time you are sitting in a clinic, an office, or a school, and you just look up at a mundane drop ceiling, remember this deep dive. You'll know that those boring white tiles might actually be two-way web-hosted intercoms actively integrated into a massive IT network.
It completely changes how you perceive the built environment. What looks like a passive acoustic panel is actually an active participant in the room's digital ecosystem.
It really does. And it leaves us with something pretty significant to think about. If a simple drop ceiling tile has evolved into a smart two-way communication node, what happens to our concept of privacy and physical space when every structural element of a building becomes an active listening node on a network?